Okay. Sorry, this mic is actually on full blast. I hope it's not too loud. I knew when I was rustling the papers in the beginning of the last one, it was pretty loud. And my volume isn't even all the way up on my computer, so yes, at least it works well. Let's go on to Jesus healing many. Again, previously we had read Jesus heals, I don't know if it was the same title, it was slightly different. Jesus was healing at some point. I know I sound very nonchalant when talking about this, but it's just, I'm telling you, when it's been a full week, it's been a full week. I'm not really going to get pent up on the details, but I am one of those people. Okay, so the title of the previous one was Jesus Heals People in Need. This one is Jesus Heals Many. So we're going to hear a slightly similar story. It's hard to distinguish if it was maybe a different remembrance of the last story. It's going to be the second one that we read. Or if it is just a different instance of slightly similar events. So that will be up to you guys. My Bible experts will be able to tell me what that was. But let's go ahead and go on to the quote. The quote. So this is Jesus Heals Many, and the quote that goes along with this is from, it's called Music of Sundry Kinds from 1607 by an anonymous source. And then this is what it reads. Since first I saw your face, I resolved to honor and renown thee. If now I be disdained, I wish my heart had never known ye. What? I that loved you, and you that liked, shall we begin to wrangle? No, 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 my heart is fast, and cannot disentangle. Since first I saw your face, I resolved to honor and renown thee. If now I be disdained, I wish my heart had never known ye. What, that I loved you and liked, and we shall begin to wrangle? No, 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 my heart is fast, I cannot disentangle. So it's kind of like a story, a push and pull type of love story, that the love is strong and the love is there, but sometimes the complications get in the way. The complications get in the way, and it can be disheartening sometimes to continue all this hard work. And this is oftentimes goes along with Jesus healing people and Jesus trying to do the most, but sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge for him. But the love never goes away. And because the heart is strong and it's fast, the separation cannot take place. So it's almost like the healing is part of his duty. When somebody comes up to him and asks to be healed, it's very difficult for him to say no. It's very difficult for him to deny somebody seeking help. So let's go ahead and go on here to Mark. Whew, this is a long one, you guys. My back is killing me with this chair. This is one of those like lawn chairs that's always at the cookout. And it's like when you try to lean back, it hits that spot. Maybe it's just because I'm a bit shorter, but okay. We're going to learn about, this is Mark chapter 1 through 43. And we are going to learn about how bacon was ruined for everybody. This is really what this story is. People wonder why people of different faiths, like Islam or even a Seventh-day Adventist offshoot of Christianity, why they don't eat pork. This is one of the reasons why pork is not accepted, in my theory and many other theories. But let's go ahead and read about it. They went across to the lake, to the region of Gerasenes. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him any more, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore chains apart and broke irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When Jesus saw from a distance, he ran and fell. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus has said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." When Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send him out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this to the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw a man who had been possessed by the legion of demons, sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him, and all the people were amazed. When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. And one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, my little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. A large crowd followed and pressed around him, and a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, if I just touch his clothes, I will be healed. Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from suffering. At once Jesus realized that power had gone out from him. He turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher any more?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion, with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him. After he put all of them out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with them, and went into where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. And at this they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this, and told them to get her something to eat. Okay, so this all kind of melded into one story. As I was writing it, I was a little bit confused with the previous story we had read under the same subject, where the synagogue leader asked to heal, it was his servant in the household. So you might have to let me know, was this the same reference, or it was just a different circumstance and different time frame that this happened, because this is another synagogue leader. So it looks like although Jesus was combating these synagogue leaders, there were some that really were desperate for help and desperate for answers and did come to him. It wasn't every synagogue leader that Jesus was, disdainful of, or, trying to get back at, or whatever you can conjure out of his preachings. But at this time, he is helping somebody's daughter. He is helping somebody's daughter, as we hear. And then on the way to help this synagogue leader's, Jairus' daughter, a woman who was also suffering, touched him and was also healed. So, as you are aware just from reading this, the crowds and crowds of people, depending on the town that he goes to, are, just really, really seeking help and seeking relief. Except for the first town, they wouldn't even let him come in, either because they knew that he would be, crowded again and, bombarded almost, or maybe there was leaders there that wouldn't agree with him. It also could have been just the fact that he dealt with this demon-possessed man in the way that he did. And I didn't realize this when we first told this story here. When we first told this story, it said 2,000 in number. 2,000 pigs. 2,000 pigs. That's a lot of pigs. So they must have heard that, or, witnessed what had happened with 2,000 pigs, and they're just like, just leave. Just leave. That was, our whole source here. Anyways, yeah, so Jesus sends the legion of impure spirits into the pigs, hence why many of us and other religious people do not eat pork. For a good reason. And there is actually a very good spiritual reason other than this, but it's closely related to this. But yes, I mean, I didn't always not eat pork, but now that I know, I'm not eating it again. Never again. But yes, let's see here. More to say on this. Faith is very important. Like I said, Jesus had a very hard time accessing everybody and assisting everybody, but just having the faith and the mental capacity as a believer to almost help him out is really beneficial on your part. Just knowing that not only Jesus has the power to heal, but it's not even Jesus. This is the other big thing I wanted to talk about. This is Jesus through the Lord's power. So the Lord is enabling him to have these supernatural abilities here on earth. It's not something that he can just really do as a human being. So in that same notion, everybody does have this capability with faith through the Lord. In more ways than one, in more ways than just this direct, immediate healing, but really anybody can access this ability through the Lord and through belief in that connection with the Lord and asking him, right? Praying, but it can be more than praying. It could just be really just like a thought mode, or just a method of feeling and channeling that power. It's very, very important to take on your own responsibility. And I feel like Jesus will get to this. I mean, we're not really there yet, but he's trying to get to this notion of faith. He did tell the person who was healed from the demons, he did tell him, he's like, go in to your own people and tell them what the Lord has done. Jesus did not say, tell him what I had done. But the guy still was confused and told them that this man did everything. But again, something we do need to be clear, it's not Jesus, right? Through Jesus, the Lord is really doing all the work. So that's something that's important. But of course, this is titled Jesus Heals Many. So I'll put in the Lord. Well, with this whole religion thing, a lot of people assumes that it's the same, right? The Lord and Jesus are the same. And technically, if you want to go that far and say that, then we are all the same. We are all one. We all come from God. So, yeah, basically. So, yes. I'm going to stop here, you guys. I thought I was going to be feeling good enough to come on here and do some more of this because we have some reading to do. But I'm just feeling like I'm stumbling over my words. I'm not able to read with the joy that I'm able to read. I'm just feeling very sluggish and very exhausted still. And yeah, I'm not going to even go into the excuses and why I feel this way, but it's just been a little bit challenging keeping up with a regular schedule, to be honest. Like every human being, but it's really difficult. It's really difficult. So yeah, I'm gonna wait till I get a little bit more rest. Maybe I'll feel better in the morning tomorrow. I think it's better sometimes when I haven't eaten already, because I already ate for the day. So I'm just feeling very just like out of it. So I might come back on tomorrow and talk more. But yeah, thanks for listening. I'll try to catch you later. Bye.